News podcast, where we have a very special guest with us. He describes himself as a technology journalist, probably the most famous one you don't know of yet. He is none other than Mr. Kulbhushan, who works as an assistant editor with the Entrepreneur Media Group, but has also worked with organizations like HT and Tracker, Tech in Asia, you name it. So he is a consumer tech journalist who also covers AI and the technology and cybersecurity space at large. With all the developments that we're seeing around this space, his role becomes more and more integral. And as media turns digital, he also runs the TSW podcast, where he integrates technology news with social issues and mental health. So here we have Mr. Kulbhushan. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
It's pleasure to be here.
So Soumya, since you were the person who chose him for the Future of News podcast as our second guest, what is it that really stood out to you? And then of course, we can kick roll with your set of questions for him.
I think as a veteran journalist, he has covered the technology and business sector widely. And with the disruption of AI in the journalism sector, I really wanted to focus on that bit and get his insights on that primarily. Kulbhushan, my first question for you would be, how do you think AI has changed your workflow in journalism?
Yeah, I think AI has been a great assistant right now. I don't think that it has like overtaken my entire chain of thoughts, But however, I know that how AI has been helping me in terms of research. Maybe not a lot of people want to bank on it, but still, like it's a place where you can collate everything. If you look at it just as a dashboard, okay, I've got 10 milestones of this company. Now I can just verify it on Google. Just that is it. Like a more of a dashboard sorts. Then it comes to copy editing, fine tuning, little bit. In the rarest cases, I have used it for when I had like a kind of a writer's block. I just wanted to get a head start. So it allows me to kind of help me look into certain direction. But then at the same time, I just don't like take it blindly. I take some clues from there because it kind of gives me that head start. So as a journalism, in terms of if I have to do pure journalism, then it's not like my everything is like more of a side tool. If you think about it, it's like a tab open, but just to keep things running, just to keep checking, if I could have written it in a better way. Maybe I could have used a better word of it. Sometimes you kind of repeat yourself a lot. You kind of, after having worked 15 years, you just have the same thought over and again, right? And there are as many ways to express yourself. So I'm one of those guys who's not like anti AI in terms of using it as a like, but there are riders to it. But yeah, for me right now, it's just more of a tool right now. That at some point it was Grammarly, at some point it was Google, sometime ago it was just like lots of reading, right? So it just kind of collates everything into one, and that's it. For me, it's like just more for dashboard slash proofreader slash research plus all these kind of an amalgamation of all the tools which are here and there, but now it's combined into one pack.
Oh,
I think
definitely.
those are very like solid points. Personally, I also use AI for copy editing, a bit of research as well, and also I think it enhances those kind of manual tasks which are like really laborious and you really don't want to do them, like transcription of interviews and everything.
Yeah.
So I think definitely AI is a good tool in that sort of work.
Yeah, if you think about it, like we had Grammarly at some point. I'm not
Yes.
saying that maybe ChatGPT is better than Grammarly. I'm just saying there was a tool. Then if you wanted to get better Grammarly suggestions, then you had to pay some sort of subscription. Then you talked about transcription. Then we had Otter. But again, if you had completed certain amount of time, then after certain minutes of recording, you would do this. And sometimes you have to if you're in a breaking news situation kind of situation, right? And then you need an instant image to go with a story, right? And you don't have that kind of image, but you can like actually craft it. You can label it, okay, it's an AI generated. Sometimes we use generic images, not since we might not have copyright and whatnot. So all these things combine into one, available for you, right? So also if you have to like say search say of a data, some milestones of a company, which I kind of mentioned earlier also. So you would go to Crunchbase, or you would go to Docker, you would go to certain places, because your job is not to do like right now deep dive. You need time, like you're in the you have to report it, like you have to file it in like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So you're not gonna go out deep dive for so small petty kind of like small mundane kind of daily Because it just kind of combines everything, right? And that is what I find it like, it's just one tab instead of multiple tabs, and so on.
My question to you, sir, is that we've discussed on how small ventures like TSW in your case or NEAP in our case benefit from the power of AI. So when you're doing content production, suppose you are entering a panel discussion, suppose you are probably going to publish a video or you want a thumbnail. How is it that AI is, supporting you vis-a-vis 5 years ago when you had to have a small team of interns or probably freelancers to help you go across with a new, YouTube news channel, for example?
See, first of all, you have to understand the entry barrier cost. Okay, if you had to start something like NEAP, say 10 years ago, you would have needed some sort of a capital. You needed like a lot of helping hands, like graphic designers, video editors, and so on, right? So your amount, the capital you would have needed to start be a self starter would have been huge, right? And now that has drastically gone down, like to bare minimum subscription tools. Maybe you might end up editing this conversation on your own if you have the right, if you put your mind to it. Maybe it would take slightly longer, maybe not as polished as a veteran video editor, but you can do uh, calm chalao edit of this conversation, right? For someone who is at the not does not have the money, right, does not have that kind of capital, and also does not cannot raise capital in any in long term. So for him, and now think like this: you might write a good YouTube description, but you don't know what hashtags to put, right? You don't know what tags to put. You don't know. Now this is the same video which you're gonna put out on Instagram, some for instance. Now you're gonna put it like, you would now you're not gonna sit and just rehash everything again. You would want to take it like, want to just change it here, ask ChatGPT to, no, because essentially it's your thought, right? Essentially it's your write up which has been rehashed. So you're gonna put it there also. So all these things, become much easier, and that is why I see that the entry cost has gone down to like bare minimum right now. So if you have like 5-6 thousand lying around, you can start your own channel and you can start producing content. It's just not news or conversation or podcast. You could do any kind of thing, right? If you see the content creation, it doesn't require a lot of skills. And now YouTube itself is giving you a lot of tools to use it, and Instagram is giving you its own studio kind of a platform where you can just edit it and just polish it and just make it usable, and at least you get started, right? You don't have to wait that you need to find some 3 writers or 2 writers or 4 writers and so on. I'm not saying that you don't need writers. Of course you need writers, you need original thoughts every day, but those writers will not be deployed towards just rehashing what is existing there. They will be used for producing new thoughts, and then using all this technology that we have to put out better and newer content, right? So with TSW also, which I've like, when I started it, I did quite a lot of experiments, did a lot of AI kind of content, and I realized how much. And also you have to understand that it's not a unique idea. What I'm thinking, you also know that, I also know that, right? So at some point, all these platforms will like realize that, okay, they are going to bombard a lot of AI content to us, right? So how we're going to differentiate. So it will change its algorithms, okay, where it will say that, okay, something which is human generated, we are going to prioritize to that. AI content will get views, whatever, but maybe not at par with what human generated content. So then again, you again have that kind of leverage, because at the end of the day, you anyway wanted your voice, your own unique identity to be there, instead of doing a lot of animation and everything. It's just and if you look at the kind of modern content which goes on in the video format, there is a lot of graphics, a lot of fast paced kind of action driven. Even if we are talking, a lot of people would be like, "Jaldi bol," what you are trying to say, right? So that all these things, where AI can just actually make a lot of difference. So, and it's not a unique idea. I'm saying everybody knows this, right? And this is where journalism and creators have to like figure out a way where they can do a great job.
I think I completely agree with you. AI has definitely become a great leveler. Like regardless of the kind of resources you have, like AI is just ensuring that there is low entry cost into content creation specifically. So my next question to you is that there is a lot of AI slop content out there which is like of really low quality. And so how do you use AI while not diluting the quality of journalism?
Yes, and even Christopher Nolan has talked about how, Gen Zs have rejected the AI slop. You see advertising with, no real actors. You've got just, a similar kind of face cut. In every nationality, just colors are varying. And then you've got this vegetable content going on, and, every explainer out there for 1 minute. generated with AI. So, what is your thought when it comes to the brain rot that AI, creates? And then, of course, how do you ensure that the AI slop does not hamper or dilute your content?
Exactly, and it's a very as a journalist, it's very easy to give into that temptation where you do everything with AI, right? Not just as a journalist, as a creator also. Like you could produce entire content entirely with AI, but then there's just kind of lacks soul. Even if you watch hundreds of AI generated videos, it might look and good and everything. And I've kind of like a lot of videos which has AI generated, and I know. Kind of sometimes I get impressed. Like for instance, a lot of content which are about Indian mythology, right? And it just kind of shows the grandeur of our mythology, where which it's showing Kailash Parvat, the Ganesh Ji ka depiction, right, or so on. So it's very hard to do it like right now, but you can do just ask AI to create all these things, and it looks very impressive. But then again, the entire content is well narrated and everything, but it just lacks soul. Okay, it does not have that kind of and then at some point, what happens with we have to understand we have been around for so long, Soumya and Gauri, that we have seen seasonality, right? Something becomes hit, then it goes away. Like I don't know if you are young enough to remember, there was called Prisma app. Okay, so everybody was downloading Prisma app. Okay, Prisma app because it could do certain filters. There was something called Saraha, which could do like a lot of anonymous messaging and so on. So there were like at some point we were going bonkers about Pokemon Go, right? Like we have to find it, and everybody's like trying to catch it everywhere and so on. This is if you remember all these things. So there is a lot of seasonality to a lot of things. AI swap will happen at some point. People will reject it, then people will move on to something different kind of things. And also we have to understand AI right now is at a very early stage, no matter what, how impressive it is, how capable it is. We have seen if we are impressed with this kind of the early 2 3 years of AI which has been given to masses, right? Imagine what happens 10 years down the line, what happens 20 years down the line, what will happen, right? And it's not just content, it's just at the end of the day, what will matter is just how unique your voice is. No matter how much AI you use or don't use, doesn't matter. However, yeah, as a creator, it's very easy to just चाहे वो कॉपी कर लो कहीं से या फिर उसको चिपका दो यहाँ पर and then just keep all these. I see a lot of people just हमने I started a channel, I just produce AI videos using falana tools and that tool, but then that will not give you the satisfaction. It might give you views and money maybe, but not really someone who is into like actually wanting to make an impact in conversations or any kind of content they are putting out. That won't happen. Again, we have to remember it's very seasonal thing. It's And also whenever something new is there, then we kind of overdo it. I have seen it like cyclical. So I hope it will also at some point settle down, and then people will go back to again roots where good quality content, which is again I think in my opinion is within the framework of journalism, will matter.
So there are also, because of AI, there are a lot of deep fake videos which are there, and also we know that how AI hallucinates and creates misinformation. So this really affects the quality and credibility of journalism as well. So how can we combat this in real life?
No,
First of
I
all,
completely agree with Soumya's question. So I saw this video, not just video, but there was a News Bites article, which really went into frenzy. If you remember, India had a fashion with the legacy newsrooms, जैसे HT or ET, to report before US media. And city reporting, not a Pete Hegseth meeting or like a Donald Trump press conference. It was about some local event and how AI hallucinated a quote, and then the minister had to come in and say, मैंने तो ये बोला ही नहीं. So when you are sitting and at the chair of a journalist, you see some quotes are generated by PR companies with AI, and you can see the language. Like with all the experience that you have, you can read that this is a human copy and this is an AI copy. So how is it that you safeguard yourself from this AI hallucination slop? Because even LinkedIn, if you see today, so many creators on LinkedIn are using text form of generated content. No creativity, no personal messaging, because I read your work and it shows that it shows that story of 15 years, your upbringing, your experiences, your observations. But when you see that kind of content not replicated, what is it that you do to maintain that integrity and stop your audiences, be a gatekeeper for them to believe this AI generated stuff?
okay, let me start with the deepfake part where and the bad part of what AI is doing right now. Okay, number one, as a journalist, okay, and that was kind of differentiates us from the, like, we are the bridge between what common people and what is happening, right? We are the kind of people, something happens, we kind of see it, we understand it, and we tell the common folks. If we give in to something which is AI generated, I have, like earlier also said, like, you can take a reference, but not really take it blindly, right? Do not use it blindly. And I think as a journalist, we have been raised to be suspicious. If something doesn't seem like, it doesn't seem like, and I think after some point, it doesn't take a lot of time. To be very honest, within 3-4 years of being in the field, you will start to realize that, okay, this doesn't look uh, and it has happened, sometimes, some company, I remember back in my reporting days, there was a company which claimed, like, a while back, we have launched 5G satellites and whatnot, and it was such a fake news, right? And we had to pull this down, and there was no AI, it was just someone distributing PR, right? And then in my mind, I was like, how's this even possible, right? How's this possible? Like, 5G was not around and all these things. Similarly, some company had raised God knows how many million money, right? And then it didn't seem right. I couldn't find anything about that company. Felt seemed suspicious and so on. But and when the AI came, when the AI has come in terms of deepfakes and everything, that someone is saying what it is, so it has become much. We have, as a journalist, we have to be much more responsible. That now we have to take everything with a pinch of salt, because even if it says that, say, a certain minister is saying something, it might not be that, right? And then again, there are labs to go through it. They're gonna do the forensic thing for that if it is a legit video or not. But at the same time, we have to use the right words to keep people informed that, okay, we cannot authenticate it, and that is what a lot of people don't do it in order to, just to quickly post about it. They want to be first on any kind of trend that is there. Like, say, even if war is going on, I remember the Operation Sindoor is the best example. The kind of people who have no knowledge, right? Who have no knowledge about warfare. They don't have anything. Even me, I don't understand what. But it doesn't mean that, I'll just start posting whatever I see. Video games के videos post हो रहे थे, circulate हो रहे थे, and then
Yes.
everybody is circulating video. So it is very important that as a journalist we need to use, and that was the time I realized that how media failed us, right? What if our Indian media was actually just reporting facts, right? People looked upon, उस समय वो कोई कंटेंट क्रिएटर के पास हिंदुस्तान की जनता नहीं गई उस समय, वो वही पुराने जिन पे उनको भरोसा है कि यार ये लोग तो नहीं अपने मन से बातें नहीं बताएंगे, राइट? ये तो रिपोर्ट करते हैं. And that was a golden opportunity for media to shine, actually show that how we are, like, not fall for all these things. I kind of I think that is what is happening. I think Operation Sindoor, and even during Balakot strikes, I saw during pandemic, we saw that a lot of fake news was just, AI or not AI, just AI kind of is like an amplifier to all these things, right? So it's very important as far as journalists to just take a pause. Whenever something like this happens, you have to be very, very careful. It's okay to report something 15 minutes later. It's okay to take another 10 minutes. It's okay to, but I also understand that there is this weird urgency in the newsrooms, right? Where they kind of push desk people to file it as soon as possible. Why we don't have it? Like, editors will be yelling down, one editor, two editor, three editor, one product guy is there, like someone who is not even part of the newsroom is also now involved in this, right? Because, and then there is the person who is doing it, just there are young people, like, desk pe baithe ho, and they have been pushed to do something, and sometimes these things will slip up, but again, I have faith, that and I think a lot of platforms do a lot of good work around it, because for instance, there are a lot of media literacy that happens around AI, awareness happens. There are a lot of coaching that happens, that how to report when you are doing using AI. So that is my response to the first part, where how AI is doing and so on. And then coming down to using just AI for content creation blindly, just copy pasting it, engagement farming. I think platforms kind of know about it, right? That this is engagement farming. As you mentioned LinkedIn, I kind of live there. So I know I see a lot of posts. They got like hundreds of likes, thousands of likes. I don't get that much of reach also, but I'm okay, because at the end of the day, content matters, originality matters, your own voice matters, and engagement farming will not give you, like, anything quality. It might give you fan following, it might give you something, but it's not tangible. I think at the end of the day, they will come back to, post people who are actually talking about it, who actually care about it. So that is my thing, and it's okay. Let it be. Like, this happened before. A lot of people who got successful on YouTube also. YouTube still had like a lot of kachra content before AI happened, right? It had like a lot of brain rot content already. or any other platform, not YouTube in for that matter. It's just AI kind of amplified it. But I think at the end of the day, people with original content will like get will be always have like some sort of a tangible community, and people will be like, and I think it goes both ways. That people who are creating original content, they should always be actively engaging with their audience and so on. Just those fundamentals. So one must not be bothered by someone posting a selfie and trying to engagement farm with a post with a cup of coffee and suddenly something very out of the blue content. I might have also, to be very honest, I kind of might have done it because might have needed it like someday, but that is like very very rarely which I've done, because kind of. But I don't like engagement farming. I don't like anything just to for the sake of getting engagement. I have to post it and so on.
Completely agree with you on this, and I think because of this a lot of fact checking websites have also come along, like alt news, because of deepfakes. So I think that I really appreciate that like journalism also has a counter for deepfakes, and AI has hallucinations as well. And I think the human component is very important to correct these AI hallucinations. At the end of the day, you do need human copy editors who can fact check this and verify this information as well. So I think but what do you have to say, like, as we move forward into the future, AI is definitely entering our jobs, and it is also replacing a lot of people. So what do you think are the skills we as journalists need in this AI ready world?
I think the conventional media, right? And I don't think so. It will shrink down a lot, okay, in terms of manpower as well. And it's a bad news. I think like that for people like us, we will have lesser places to work in the future, and it will be harder. You know, however, I feel like if even if a company is even if a company is like media organization is leaner, okay, but if you have good tangible good creators, and like good thoughts, not creators, I mean to say journalists, who can actually do a lot of real reporting. At some point, see, everybody will be doing the same thing, right? There will be nothing different. So only difference will be like how organic people are coming to you to watch anything, and that will happen only when you're delivering something unique. It's just not relabeling much more aggressive packaging of the same content, or just you have one line information and you're running like 1 hour show, so or 2 hour or entire day you're just like repeating the same thing. So at some point they will need a lot of humans who will be thinking very differently, who will be willing to go on the ground to do the work, okay. Right now what we see is that a lot of publications don't send their foot on the ground. Very few publications, otherwise it's just what in a typical media setup, if you see, it's just a large desk which has got a lot of subscriptions, ANI, PTI, Reuters, Bloomberg. So their just job is just to change headline, just keep the website or whatever running, right? But that will be done by every other website. So how are you going to differentiate? How? So it's very important that that you have original voices, you have original thoughts, you have original reporting, which would be your which is going to be very important. But I see that conventional media will like kind of shrink down to some extent, because at the end of the day, readers don't care if it is written by a human or it is written by AI. As long as that publication vouches for it, how this information is correct matter.
Definitely, I completely agree with you. Like, I think all of us as journalists need to maintain our distinct voice and original reporting to really, stand out in this AI era. So, my next question for you is: you cover the world of startups, businesses, and technology. So, how is that kind of reporting being affected by AI today?
Not much, to be very honest. AI doesn't change the way, it just makes the process easier, to be very honest. Like what about a little bit about research, dashboarding, which I mentioned about. Otherwise it doesn't change like how you approach. So it is regardless whether it is you're reporting about any other beat, right? Uh, it could be say health, it could be entertainment and so on, right? You can just check what is there out, but you can't be like blindly following it, especially where sensitive matters are there. There have been like place situations, I think a very good, during one of my podcasts he said like AI was just creating fake case, a citation of a fake case, right, that did not even exist. So
Yeah, definitely. Completely agree with you. So, Moving forward, what is your one advice to aspiring journalists who want to cover this beat of yours?
I think my advice will be just stay curious, and start be a student. I think I'm always my approach to my work is always being a student, because throughout my life I have always kind of upskilled, from one format to another format, because the media landscape has always changed, and it's very important that you should be very adaptive. You cannot be, and then there are a lot of things which come as part of journalism. It's not typical 9 to 5 job. You have to be active. You have to be willing to accept a lot of information. You cannot shut down. Like, of course, you need to find a mental health balance for sure, but also you have to, you are signing up for something. You have to be like knowing, at least know that this has happened. Okay, whether you report about it or not report about it is your choice, but just be willing to be open to a lot of information in your early days, because you will learn a lot. You have to learn a lot. You have to and with AI maybe you might take help also, how these people do, but then again you have to be very objective in your reporting. You have to understand that you have to have a unique voice. If you're writing what exactly everybody is writing about, right, then you have to find like what makes your thought different. Why will people listen to you? Why should people care about you? So, and it should be a very gradual process. It doesn't Journalism doesn't pay you anything. That is also there. If someone is joining journalism, and if they don't have a lot of connects, and so they might have to start at the bottom. So paisa is not there. So the only thing that is going to drive you is passion. So whenever you're down, whenever you feel like, okay, why this thing is not working, then always remember you are here for the passion, because you do it because you like it. And just be aware. Just at the end of the day, I feel like, journalism has made me a lot more aware about a lot of things. Otherwise, I know a lot of people who don't even know what is happening around the world. Okay, so that journalism gives you that kind of push to be aware. So at the end of the day, you will be like much more informed about when you speak, when you express your thoughts. So in the early days, be open to ideas, be willing to learn. I feel that nowadays uh, there is a kind of resistance, between the generational thing, right? The approach to work is different. I think we have to find a balance. We were from a generation where we were yelled at, we were bullied left, right, center, and we would have worked overtime, maybe not even taken off just voluntarily, just because work has to be done. So that was also not nice. And I think, and also being not accountable for anything is also not nice. So somewhere this generation and the newer generation, we have to find a balance to work. But my advice will always be just that सीखने के लिए आप हमेशा तैयार रहिए. आपको सीखना है. आपको सीखने की भूख कभी नहीं खत्म होनी चाहिए. And 15 years later, I'm still learning. I'm still wanting to learn from younger people now. I ask a lot of people, what do you think? How could have we made this video better? आपको क्या लगता है? अच्छा, और these are my limitations. मैं इसको किस तरीके से ही पैकेज कर सकता हूँ. आपको लगता है कि इसमें क्या क्या लोगों को पसंद आएगा. तो आपको बहुत ज़रूरी है कि वो हंगर खत्म नहीं होना चाहिए सीखने की. हमेशा जानना आपको, हमेशा वो भूख नहीं खत्म होनी चाहिए.
I completely agree with you on this. Stay curious, keep learning. I think that's the motto for all of us. Irrespective of profession, I think we need to stay updated with the latest trends and technology that is going on. My next question for you is: do you have any memorable story that you have covered in the past, which created a lot of impact, or you personally liked a lot?
Okay, so I've been around for a very long time. Okay, I'll give you one example. Okay, one good, one bad example. Like how I learned hard way also in my life. So one, I'll give you my like which where kind of was my first introduction to like everybody knowing like I do tech, cover tech. So a while back, in the previous UPA regime, there was something called Akash tablet. Okay, they promised a very sasta tablet, which would have otherwise cost 7,000, 8,000 या 10,000 रुपए के आसपास का टैबलेट आता था. बट दैट वाज बीइंग ऑफर्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट दैट वी आर गोना प्रोवाइड स्टूडेंट्स को $700 बहुत कम पैसे में वी आर गोना डू द आकाश टैबलेट. एंड दैट पीपल वर क्रेजी अबाउट वी वांटेड टू डू ये आकाश टैबलेट कब आएगा, कहाँ से आएगा. एंड आई वाज अमंग द फर्स्ट वंस टू लाइक एक्सटेंसिवली रिपोर्ट अबाउट इट. And that was the time I think even our website had not seen that kind of traffic, web traffic. Okay, so everybody was insanely curious, and I remember that mail where everybody in the office also like was, hey, well done Kulbhushan, you know uh, and so that was, I was very young at that time, I think in my early 20s. So that was my first claim to where I thought like, okay, people are, and this is what I learned also, and that has been my motto till since then. Okay, that tech is not just for enthusiasts. If tech is done explained in a right way, or a lot of common people would be interested. That has been what my approach to tech journalism has been. And that was one of the examples where everybody wanted Akash tablet, maybe just because it was cheap, but also there was a lot of curiosity why it is cheap, right? How it was being incentivized, why it could not materialize at the end of the day, how many iterations you came. If you, I will request all the people who are watching it to read about Data Wind, read about Sunit Singh Tuli, read about Akash tablet. I'm sure at some point you will come across a digit URL and with my name on it. So that is one of my like first experience where I got like, I was very happy, like okay कुछ तो अच्छा कर रहे हैं हम. और क्योंकि हमको like at that time I used to feel like that what is tech, I'm not able to relate myself to it, but that was the time I felt like okay, this is something my calling, where I could make tech very simpler for common people, in different ways. And the second part is where I learned it hard way, okay. And that I think some website or some platform had got hacked, okay. So there was this very infamous hacking group, okay, called Anonymous, and they had this mask as their logo. So I did not understand that much, in terms, I was very new to web journalism and so on, right? So I kind of, and they were not also behind the attack, but I still use their logo just as a reference image, that something like this has happened, right? So after that, we got a mail, right? That take down our image, otherwise we are gonna uh, we, we are gonna like, at that time, the websites were not that robust, okay, to take panga with a platform. So so that was one of the ways, like I quickly changed it because I did not want my website to go down just because I made a stupid mistake, okay. And I think that headline is also somewhere where you will see that. I think I'll share it. You should see that how without thing did it get bitch slapped, something like that, right? That headline is still exists. I think Tech2 did it because we changed it, and I think a lot of few people noticed it also. So I learned it hard way that भाई अगर इन सब मैटर्स में कितना सेंसिटिव होना बहुत जरूरी है. और अगर सोनी का स्टोरी है तो एलजी का फोटो नहीं डाल सकते हैं, और एलजी का स्टोरी है तो सोनी का फोटो नहीं डाल सकते हैं. ये तो खैर बहुत ही एक्सट्रीम सिचुएशन था. So there have been like lot of good times, where kind of like the entire like many times my content has gotten viral. I think the most recent, I think, would be like 1.5 years ago. I think I was among the first ones to report about it. I don't want to say that I was the first one because I think a lot of people had anyway reported about it. A lot of people were getting calls from WhatsApp from international numbers, okay, right? And suddenly they were, these were spam pesky calls coming from sometimes Malaysia or somewhere from Southeast Asia or somewhere, and people were like, "Why are they video calling me from this number?" Okay, and then WhatsApp had to make a lot of change. Like so now, if you see that silence unknown numbers, like calls from silence, so it gets silenced by so that was one of the stories which went very viral. I think Medianama and a lot of good platforms kind of repurposed it for their own audience. I think a lot of publications, so that kind of gotten viral. It was picked up by TV channels as well later on. So you have to be like, these are like few things. There have been many more like this, where I've seen my work getting getting recognized and so on. So, and but again, if you merge tech with common people, आम आदमी का problem तो tech से है. People will anyway lap on it. Like people would love to read about it because the moment I posted about it, the first comment was of my friend that, "Arey, even I am facing this problem. I'm tired of these numbers." And then I realized that there were many more who kind of like reshared it. Like, okay, everybody was facing this. It's just that nobody was reporting. I think a few people had reported or kind of posted about it, not really reported. So that kind of got viral. I think that made me very happy.
Yeah, I think like if you make like tech news very accessible, jargon free, I think a lot of people would love to read that. So yeah, my final question to you is: you also run the podcast TSW and have kind of become like a content creator slash journalist. And I think the lines between a content creator and journalism is also blurring day by day. We have journalists like Faye D'Souza who have actually opened their own podcasts, YouTube channels, and Instagram pages, and have gained millions of followers along the way. And we have podcasters such as Ranveer Alabadia who have become sort of like journalists in their own sense. So what is your thoughts on this? How can we make sure that content creators and journalists are still performing their roles correctly while at the same time disseminating the right information?
So first of all, about journalism, journalists becoming creators. Like Soumya, you have been a journalist. Gauri is also a journalist. I'm also a journalist. What happened through the years is that you kind of get when you're working with a publication, they have certain templates and they have their own guidelines and so on, right? It kind of restricts you to do certain kind of things. I might be good at, say, entertainment. I might also be good at sports. I might also be interested in doing a lot more things. But when you are in your organization, they will strictly make you do exactly one kind of work. They will not, and this is a very unfortunate situation also, that they will make you just force it, just like, much more like, they will say that, hey, you can pursue whatever after work hours, but then you don't barely have that kind of time and energy to pursue it, right? So what I was trying to do is that I wanted to experiment with a lot of videos. Okay, I wanted to do something in my own way. I did not want to do something what every other creator is doing or so on. If you see a lot of successful independent journalists, they might have been doing it for different reasons and so on, but they did not go back to. They have continued to create videos on their own channels, and they have been interviewing different kind of people. Okay, from across. Maybe if they were like, say, a entertainment journalist, they might have not done a lot of tech content, or a tech journalist might have not done a lot of entertainment stories, or so on. So that kind of gives you the flexibility. Now my canvas is huge over here, right? I can do whatever I want. Like, I can just be actively and so on. I can be my own voice. I can have certain followers. I can have certain sort of an audience which I can cater to. So that is one thing. I think it's a good thing. As an individual, you get much more stronger. I wish I could have done it like 10 years, 11 years ago. I started very late, but I think I'm okay. And so that is what I think. But here's the thing, okay, whatever we do as a journalist, I don't know, I can't tell about others, I can't vouch for others. We have been, I understand journalism's ethics and limits and so on. Like how much आप कितना भी freely wheeling कर लो, मैं आपका company like I can't be promoting, right, anything, right? There are certain ethics which you have to follow, right? So whenever I do content, I don't sell anything. मैं कुछ नहीं बेच रहा हूँ. मैं बस my content is just pure information, right? आप आओ यहाँ पे कुछ दो बातें जो लोग हम लोग कर रहे हैं, आप सीखो इनसे. My entire promise is that the entire premise is that up point A to point B, I will either give you some sort of a new information if you did not know. If you have already known, then I will give you a good perspective. As simple as that. But there's no selling. I'm not selling workbooks. I'm not selling chai, coffee mugs. I'm not selling T-shirts. I'm not selling anything because my platform is just an extension of what I do as for living, right? The second part is where creators are becoming journalists. I doubt they might have gotten access to a lot of politicians, ministers, and netas and bureaucrats and film stars. But आप देखो ना उनका इंटरव्यू मजा maybe you can get it from pleasure point of view, but then at the end of the day they will not ask the hard questions. Okay, even frankly speaking, even I don't ask a lot of hard questions in my podcast, but then that is not the nature of it. But if I were a journalist, at some point I would want to ask so many difficult questions. I would put them in a spotlight and so on. But yeah, creators, so if you're doing a lot of softballing, then that is not really you don't get to. And if you're not doing research enough, you're not doing, because I know for sure, because a lot of content creators now want to ride on the news. Okay, कि ये news हो गया है, अब हम इसके ऊपर हम content करेंगे, बहुत ज़्यादा करेंगे, इस पे हम explainer बनाएंगे, वो वही चीज़ तो है ना, कुलभूषण is my name and my name is कुलभूषण ही करेंगे वो, लेकिन उससे कुछ tangible कुछ नहीं होगा, then you won't get anything, right? So creators are becoming better at what their craft is. They're getting, of course, they're getting good at very close to journalism, to be very honest. They have access also now, and that is pure their hard work. I kind of not putting them down. It's just my advice is when you are picking up news, okay, and especially sensitive kind of news, just be sure, double cross everything, verify it. Don't get into the rush of being the first. बहुत पढ़िए उसके बारे में, तभी करिए. बाकी otherwise I feel like they are doing, like, creator economy is growing. I think everybody is doing fantastic job. जितने भी लोगों का नाम लिया आपने आज के डेट में, अब मेरे पास pitch भी आते हैं तो ऐसे आते हैं कि would you like to interview this person because he has appeared on Rachamani podcast. मतलब ये qualification कब से हो गई भाई? So I don't know, maybe so ये qualification I'm like ठीक है, अच्छा वो अच्छा इस podcast पे भी आए तो बड़े आदमी. So एक ये भी एक नया trend है, ये सब कुछ है. तो as a journalist I have like certain limitations which I can do and I'm gonna continue to do that. Like उसी limitations के within में मैं करना चाहूँगा. I'm not gonna go all out as a creator in my life. I think if I'm just saying as a creator, I'm not considering it full time right now because I don't think so. The kind of work I'm gonna do is gonna take. It will get a lot of time to monetize and so on, and I have not intentions like this because I just want it to be a experimental extension of what I do. So yeah. And my advice is just if someone is just in the content creator, just it's absolutely okay. I think they're doing fantastic job. I would in fact encourage everybody. Sometimes I've seen they have done better job as a journalist, citizen journalist. There was a kid in Faridabad who was just going out and posting photos of how infrastructure is crumbling, right? And I think that should have been done by the mainstream publications and picked up by a lot of people, right?
Thank you so much, Kulbhushan, for your valuable time. I think this was a very insightful discussion on how AI is disrupting the journalism industry and how content creation is blurring the lines of journalism. So, thank you, all of you viewers, for catching this episode. And please stay tuned to NIA for more such podcasts.
Good evening and welcome to